Gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Quigley, is recognized for the purposes of an amendment.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment at the desk. I ask unanimous consent to again dispense with the reading.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentleman is recognized for remarks on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, my amendment would strike the funds in the THUD bill that have been transferred from the bipartisan infrastructure law. As we remember, 4 years ago, a bipartisan group, we passed the first dramatic infrastructure bill in decades, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and it was sorely needed. Our allies, our competitors, our adversaries are outspending us on infrastructure 3-to-1 to 4-to-1 right now. America was spending billions a year making repairs to already outdated projects while our competitors were making major investments in electric vehicles, high-speed rail, and automated ports. The IIJA was about making sure our country was again on the cutting edge of transportation infrastructure, which has countless economic and national security benefits. So we all have to be concerned that instead of building on IIJA's historic investment, the 26 THUD bill is depleting it. Specifically, the majority bill transfers or repurposes $4.4 billion of these funds to cover massive budget holes created from, frankly, an inadequate bill allocation. This depleting of the infrastructure bill funds to make up for annual appropriations funding comes at a significant cost to our constituents and our economy. Cutting off funding to the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program alone is estimated to eliminate 13,000 infrastructure jobs. And those aren't just in blue states. Texas, California, and Florida are the top three. My home region of the Midwest is not immune. Pennsylvania and Ohio will lose out on $37 and $30 million in funding, respectively. In rail, the THUD bill takes $2.8 billion from IIJA's federal-state partnership program. This is going to undercut the completion of capital projects that reduce the state of good repair backlog and improve the performance of our railroads. I've seen these these funds benefit Union Station in Chicago, which is the launch point of Amtrak service to Western states. But Fed state partnerships funds have also benefited projects like Amtrak to Long Island, in Long Island, New York, and the Corridor Enhancement Project in Malta, Montana. You may be picking up on something. The infrastructure law stands by its name. It is benefiting red and blue states alike because making sure our infrastructure is safe, reliable, and modern is the best interest of all Americans, and it's the smart thing to do. Doing the opposite of that, which is what the current THUD bill proposes, I think we're going to look back with severe regret. I strongly oppose raiding the bipartisan investments in the original bill to make up for zeroing out of discretionary programs in the THUD bill. I ask my colleagues to join me in supporting it.
Thank the gentleman. The gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Womack, is recognized to respond to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I rise in opposition to the amendment. Once again, it exceeds the allocation, and if adopted, would keep us from going to the floor. While my subcommittee members are well aware of some of the decisions we made in here, I think it's important for everyone in here to understand why we included these transfers in the bill. It begins with the fact that we are under fiscal constraint. We have to look at all of the resources out there, what's available to meet the missions of our agencies. And so for DOT, the 21 infrastructure law, the IIJA, provided $185 billion in advance appropriations. That was $37 billion a year over 5 years. Got another year to go. Now we're in the final year of this infrastructure bill. Some of the programs, and I don't think there's anybody in this room that would argue that some of these programs have been transformational in nature. I'll give it that. But there are too many programs in this bill that were there to curry political favors or overfunded relative to demand for the program by our states and localities. So we took that into consideration. Now, to illustrate my point, think about this. When you're looking at the resources available, and you see in these some of these IIJA programs, 10, 15, 20% levels of obligation in the final year of this 5-year bill. So the question for my subcommittee and for me is, what could we do better with the money that's available? That's why in this $4.4 billion, we redirected the NEVI formula stuff. Only 15% of the $5 billion for the EV formula program had been obligated. We took controversial Reconnecting Communities program money and put it toward tribal transportation. We took the culvert removal and replacement program and put those dollars toward another emerging national issue. I don't think there's anybody in this room that could argue that we have a truck parking problem in this country. You get on an interstate anywhere at dusk and just look at the exit ramps. It's a safety issue. Only 23% of that money, culvert removal, had been obligated. And we redirected the overfunded Fed-State Partnership Intercity Passenger Rail Program toward the popular and underfunded Consolidated Rail Infrastructure, the CRISI grant. So we can argue about it. I mean, we can, and that's what these debates are about. But I would challenge anybody in here to make a plausible argument that what we're trying to do under a limited allocation with this $4.4 billion that we've taken from IIJA is irresponsible. If money were no object, we'd do it all. We'd have that ferry program, we'd do everything. But money is an object. Money is an object. And I care about what goes on in Quigley's district and other districts. I truly do, but this is expensive stuff. And we have an allocation that we have to abide by, and I want to honor that. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to join me in opposition to this amendment. I yield back.
The gentleman, are there additional members? Gentleman from South Carolina is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I rise in support of this amendment. The job of the Appropriations Committee is to carefully consider the needs of our constituents and communities and the investments we need to make in safety and in the greater good. It is a hard job because I know we do not have unlimited resources. We make hard choices in this committee. Just like any family in America, we must make hard decisions around the kitchen table and about how they spend their hard-earned money. I believe there are sincere concerns on both sides of the aisle about the rise in debt in this country. But that said, we clearly have fundamental differences in how Democrats and Republicans want to solve the debt problem. I do not believe cuts to domestic spending are always the answer, and I do not believe we should be balancing the budget on the backs of our most vulnerable. Despite this, House Republicans just voted for the big, ugly bill, and now we are here again, listening to the majority tell us that these domestic spending cuts are necessary for fiscal responsibility. In this T-HUD bill, not only do we have a woefully low allocation, but we have a new gimmick, using another target, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, rating the historic investments that Congress made in our communities. The IIJA was a historic infusion of funds to improve infrastructure and the economy. And these funds have already started improving roads and rail safety across the country, and they created thousands of jobs. It takes time to invest billions of dollars, when we're trying to change things and we are trying to rehab communities. There was an old adage that all of us grew up on: measure twice and cut once, was the old adage. And that's what many communities are trying to do. Rather than gobbling up the money, people are taking their times in these communities. I know that's what we're doing in South Carolina, and we do it in a bipartisan way. I have a very partisan governor who is a Republican. He's one of my best friends. But we work together, this partisan Democrat, do what is necessary for the people of South Carolina, not to spend money just to be spending it, but to assess the needs in these communities, and as I said, measure twice and cut once. And yet, the majority of bills cut into the IIJA by quote-unquote transferring IIJA funds that are on the ground already or will be imminently available to our communities with the fiscal year 26 advanced appropriations. Redirecting these funds to pay our base bills does not help our communities. It shortchanges them yet again. And for these reasons, I already yes vote on this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
I thank the gentleman. The gentlelady from Connecticut, Mr. DeLauro, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would suggest to everyone that we would not be under any fiscal constraint if we didn't, and folks didn't vote for $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for the wealthiest people in this nation and the biggest corporations. And secondly, with regard to the last debate that we were having, I have been speaking about a lawless administration probably for all of you that it's ad nauseum. I will continue to do that because the president is not running an appropriations bill and suggesting what we do, but it is Russ' vote. And it is because they want to decimate, eviscerate, and end the Appropriations Committee and get rounded in some way. Let's use reconciliation. Let's use whatever nomenclature you want to use and whatever it is, but it is about doing in this committee. I, for one, am not going to do in this committee, as I fought with my own administration in the last go-around when we talked about apportionments and letting us know what was going on. We need to stand up for what this committee stands for. Thaddeus Stevens would not have sit there and said nothing about what this administration and particularly what Russ' vote is doing to this committee. I rise in support of this amendment to strike all transfers in this legislation because, it steals funding from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the bipartisan infrastructure law, passed during the Biden administration, the most significant investment in our nation's critical infrastructure in decades. 60,000 projects to date announced as part of this bill. 10,000 bridges, 500 ports, waterways, 1,100 airport modernization projects, 175,000 miles of roadway repairs and improvements. You know, many of our Republican colleagues voted against the bill since taking credit for these projects in their own districts, even though they did vote against the bill. And just to quote David Obey, he used to say that is posing for holy pictures, if we remember that. People who don't vote for it but then go out and take credit for it. That's because the benefits are undeniable. The American Society of Civil Engineers found that on average, each American household saves $700 per year when IIJA funding becomes the new baseline for infrastructure investment. The bill we consider today takes us backwards, taking the funding from bipartisan priorities, Amtrak investments, the Reconnected Loan and Grant Program for rural broadband, National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. All of the priorities are responding to real challenges. Amtrak is a crucial commuter and business transportation link for millions of Americans. It moves people safely and affordably while also reducing traffic and wear on our major highways. Cannibalizing $2.3 billion from the Fed-State partisan partnership for inner-city passenger rail program in order to fund Amtrak's annual grants jeopardizes critical repair and maintenance projects throughout the country. Redirecting funds in this way will delay or permanently stop progress on projects that make our trains safer, faster, and more reliable. The IIJA's federal state partnership funding has supported the Amtrak to Long Island in Representative Lalota's district. It provided $15 million for a corridor enhancement project in Malta, Montana, Mr. Zinke's district. It really is, this is lifeblood that we're giving up because some individual who's got a title of the Office of Management and Budget Director has made a decision that this is the direction that we should go in. Speaking of speed, the USDA Reconnect program has invested over $4.5 billion in bringing broadband internet speeds to rural areas, helping people connect to a modern economy. Many of these projects are in Republican states and districts, so I am mystified. Are you receiving complaints that your constituents' internet speeds are too fast? Make no mistake, the longer we delay investing in electric vehicle infrastructure through programs like NEVI, the larger a lead that China will be able to take in building these next generation vehicles. You know, it is, no one here is asking people to give up gasoline cars. But cutting funding for electric infrastructure investments is like insisting that Henry Ford should have simply made faster horses. The bipartisan infrastructure law made crucial investments in the foundation of our economy in order to be able to bring down the cost of living. If we take those investments away, Americans will all pay the price. Our economy pays the price. Our future pays the price. Our innovation and our leading in innovation in this world to date will pay the price. I'm proud to speak to this amendment. I urge my colleagues to support it. I thank you very much, and I yield back. Thank you.
Thank the gentlelady. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? There's no further debate, then the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thanks again, Mr. Chairman. I encourage you to support this amendment. And now 55 seconds on our debt and deficit, which I tend to do once a year. There are a few people in this room who voted for Cooper LaTourette, the late Mr. LaTourette and Jim Cooper's bill. That was Simpson Bowles. I was one of 36. So it was the only, in my time here, comprehensive way of looking at the debt and deficit. So for those who want to follow up on this, the Center for a Responsible Federal Budget is working with us again, and we're going to try again. But the reality of the situation is, if you're going to do this, it has to be big, balanced, and bipartisan, and it has to have cuts and revenues. And frankly, we've gone in the wrong direction with the most recent bill on that. So, I'll put my vote where my mouth is on this. I encourage you to join me on that. In the meantime, I would appreciate your support on this amendment.
Thank the gentleman. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Illinois. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Roll call has been requested. Could we have a show of hands? Sufficient show of hands having occurred, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, aye. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amade. Mr. Amade, no. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop. Aye. Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siscomani, no. Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, no. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, aye. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole.
No.
Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, aye. Ms. Dean. Ms. Dean, aye. Ms. DeLauro. Aye. Ms. DeLauro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, no. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey. Ms. Escobar. Ms. Escobar, aye. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, no. Ms. Gonzalez. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Hinson. Mrs. Hinson, no. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, aye. Mr. Joyce. Mr. Joyce, no. Ms. Capter. Ms. Capter, aye. Mr. LaLota. Ms. Lee. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy. Ms. Malloy, no. Ms. McCollum. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Morelli, aye. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez. Ms. Perez, aye. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Reschenthaler, no. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, no. Ms. Torres. Mrs. Torres, aye. Ms. Underwood. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, no. Mrs. Wasserman Schultz. Ms. Wasserman Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson Coleman. Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, no.
Are there any members wishing to vote or to change their vote? Gentleman from West Virginia.
Mr. Moore, no.
Gentleman from Texas.
Mr. Elzey, no.
Gentlelady from Nevada.
Ms. Lee, aye.
Gentlelady from Illinois.
Ms. Underwood, aye.
Gentleman from Arizona. I do not
Mr.
believe.
Siscomani is recorded as a no.
Oh, gentleman is recorded. Are there others wishing to be recognized or to change their votes? Seeing none, the clerk will tally. Or well, come back. On this vote, the ayes are 27, the noes are 32. The amendment is not adopted.